All right, 6:30 having arrived, we'll officially called the meeting of the common council for this month. The order is the meeting been properly posted and the roll been taken.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Item number 2 is pledge of allegiance. For those that are able to stand at this time, please join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 3, our approval of the minutes. 3.1 is a motion to approve the minutes from the September 17th, 2024 meeting. If there's no additions or corrections, I'd go ahead and entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the minutes of September 17th, 2024.
Second. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 4, under communications, I wanted to make everyone aware that October 15th is White Cane Safety Day. For those who most know what white cane safety entails, but for those that aren't aware, 60 years ago on October 6, 1964, the United States Congress designated October 15th of each year White Cane Safety Day. And this year I did a proclamation, hopefully to cause even more greater awareness, especially not just because of 60 years anniversary of this important day, but the fact that nearly a third of Wisconsin residents are non-drivers and thousands of state residents living with vision loss use a white cane for mobility and safe travel. Wisconsin law helps protect white cane users by requiring motorists to yield to them. So it's not only a wonderful reminder for our most vulnerable with vision loss, but pedestrian safety for everybody. And so with that, proclaiming on behalf of the Wisconsin residents here in the city of Delavan, that we proclaim today, October 15, 2023, is White Cane Safety Day in the city of Delavan, and to acknowledge the importance of pedestrian safety year round. So I wanted to share that communication. I don't believe we have any other communications at this time.
No.
Thank you. Item number 5, public comments. We've got a lot more visitors here in attendance. I think that's a wonderful thing. Thank you for joining us. And I'm going to guess, just go out on a limb, that most are here for agenda item 7.1. But regardless of whether it's that issue or any others on the agenda this evening, I'd like to, at this time, ask for public comments that citizens may address the chair at this point of the meeting. Please limit your comments to items that are on the agenda for this evening, once for no more than 3 minutes max. I don't know how many people we have necessarily. Again, I'm just guessing that they're here for 7.1, but it could be for any agenda item. So now is the time to speak. I would ask you to come to the podium when it's your time. State your name and address for the record, and that is your time to speak to items on the agenda. With that, anyone care to make? I would start us off. All right.
So are we on? Good evening, Mr. Mayor, elected officials, city staff, and residents. My name is Nate, and I am the account manager for John's Disposal Service. I'm a small part of the 3rd generation of family ownership at John's. My grandfather-in-law, John, lived in the city for over 60 years until his passing late in 2022. I believe many of the people in this room knew John and would speak to both his character and commitment to Delavan. Our company has consistently donated to a wide variety of community organizations, churches, and schools in Delavan for its entire history. Our owners are both DDHS alumni. I would like to take a brief moment to clarify what I believe are some misconceptions surrounding tonight's meeting. On September 10th, 2024, the city released an RFP for citywide collection. John's was the only well-established, locally owned and operated company bidding against 3 national competitors. We received the recommendation from both city staff and the General Operations Committee to be awarded the contract for the city. Here's some additional information about our company, our family, and our proposal. John's is not a national hauler, a private equity company, or a franchise brand. We are not at odds with the Neuenhuis family. In fact, we partnered with them for many years to process your recyclables. We have nearly a dozen employees who live in the city. We have over 125 trucks on the road and are prepared to begin service for you immediately. We have carts ready to order for delivery to each home by January 1st. We will process your city's recyclables locally at our facility in Whitewater. We will utilize one of 3 local landfills that are contracted to take our garbage. And while we are not perfect, we have a locally staffed bilingual call center that's ready to take calls from you and your citizens. Our proposal includes weekly garbage pickup along with a new brown garbage cart. It includes weekly recycling pickup with a new dark green recycle cart. Our proposal includes 12 bulk item collections per year per home that include electronics, appliances, furniture, tires, motor oil, car batteries, construction material, and quite a bit more. All of these services will be provided to every home in the city for only $19.40 per month. We are a fully licensed and insured for collection. We have been in business for over 50 years. We have community-wide contracts in Darien, Sugar Creek, Geneva, Lake Geneva, Walworth, Lynn, Fontana, Whitewater, Bloomfield, LaGrange, and East Troy, to name a few. My question for the council tonight is, if private subscription truly were the best option for your residents, why would Walworth, Richmond, Lafayette, and other surrounding communities be contracted? Lastly, I would like to reiterate that we're a local, well-respected company, one who cares deeply about the citizens and the community of Delavan, its image, and the quality of service that's been provided here. There is no question in my mind that the best opportunity for Delavan to reduce fleet traffic on your streets, minimize the number of complaints you receive about garbage, and ensure lower pricing for residents is to manage one contract with one hauler. And I believe that that hauler for you is John's Disposal. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. And you made it under the at the 3-minute mark, so thank you for that. Anyone else at this time? Yes, Your Honor. I still call you Your Honor.
Yeah,
Because you are.
that's in the past, Your Honor, but, Your Honor, council members, Mr. Cook.
I know who you are.
residents.
I know who you are, but if you
I
can
will.
state your name.
I will. I'm Tim Sturdivant, lifelong resident of the city of Delavan. I currently reside and own a home at 635 South 6th Street. And I wish to comment on tonight's agenda item 9.2, the consideration of citywide solid waste collection. I'm urging the council to slow down or stop the process. We have not had citywide waste collection for all these years, so what's the rush now? Yes, I know that many former Neuenhuis Brothers customers are not happy with GFL, and I don't doubt that those complaints have reached the city, but are those people clamoring for a citywide service? I don't think so, based on conversations I've had with other city residents that I know. Currently, those who are not satisfied with GFL do have other choices of contractors, and there will soon be one more local independent contractor to choose from, that being Neuenhuis Disposal Services. I'm aware that Neuenhuis Disposal Service submitted a proposal that was between $3.85 to $4.10 higher than the John's Disposal proposal that the city currently favors, but Neuenhuis Disposal Service is a brand new startup business here in Delavan. To me, that is one more reason not to rush this. Let's just give this company a chance to grow, and maybe at some time in the future, should the city decide to reconsider this idea, they may be more competitive with the larger companies. While John's is more local than GFL, and I have nothing against John's, and GFL, of course, is headquartered out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. John's is still not located in Delavan. One more point, I'm sure if the city were to adopt the citywide services, I'm assuming that the citizens would not have the opportunity to opt out and hire their own private service. So at this present time, I would urge the council to reject the current proposals and to maintain service contracted by the individual property owners. Thanks for taking the time to listen to me.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Mel Neuenhuis, 720 Paris Street, heart of the city. Anyways, I don't know where to start, but my first question would be is, on item 7.1, will there be opportunity for the public to speak during that time? Will you open it up to the public, or will this be our only opportunity to speak?
I'm glad you asked that question. I was hoping that I made it clear at the beginning, and I know if anyone here, you can appreciate this and understand this, because you and I have been through some of these more larger packed audiences, but this is the time. We're trying to keep, I mean, I wasn't sure exactly how many people would show up, but this is really the time to speak on any agenda item.
I don't know if I got 3 minutes to do this.
I'll give a little leeway,
Well-
just because you're a former mayor.
Well, and I appreciate that. Thank you for at least giving me the opportunity to speak. Now, I'm not here to represent GFL, John's, my nephew, anybody. I'm here speaking as a taxpayer, okay? I've been a taxpayer for 40 years, paying my taxes. And one thing that gets me is that, to add more to my taxes, right? The garbage tax fee, that's what it is, right? And so you're talking, what, about $250 added to my taxes, roughly? And then I think about when my house was reassessed, my property, it went up $62,000. So what will that mean for taxes? Will my taxes go up with that alone, right? And then I think, well, I know you guys are gonna purchase a ladder truck. That's $900,000, I'm guessing, which is what we need. We need it because that truck was there when I was on the fire department, right? So, but then I think about, what is your capital improvement plan the next 10 years? Are there major projects that we're not aware of from the public that's gonna have to be decided? And I think about the library expansion, right? Is that coming up next year? I don't know. I thought I heard rumor, but you know, rumors are rumors, but that's a $9 to $10 million project unless the Friends of the Library raised half of that. I don't know. But at some point that's gonna happen. And also I'll throw in the red doll effect. Mr. Mayor, you know, we've sat here many times when Red was sitting up here talking about, I live on a fixed income. And when I think about all the things that are happening, the least I should have to worry about is $250 more on my tax bill for garbage. And it was spoken before, people have a choice. I know some of you went with John's and left GFL. You have that opportunity, you have that right to do that. And so, I could go on and on, but currently, from what I understand, talking to my GM, there's 65% of the customers with GFL pay $22 a month, okay? So that equals out to $264 a year. So am I gonna save the people that have service right now are gonna save $14 to $20? Is that a game changer for you to change everything? Now, I granted that John's and Lakeland charge $28 or $30 when you subscribe to them. And if you subscribe to GFL now, it would be $30. So I get that, but you're asking 65% to save a few dollars if they stay with GFL. And what about the people who have every other week service or once a month service? They're gonna be paying more. So they're gonna be penalized. And I know I'm running out of time, but I guess what all in all said, can you guarantee that my taxes won't go up aside from the garbage tax fee? Because I talked to a lady on Racine Street that hers went up $100,000. Now you can guarantee me that whoever's had their prices raised up, that they're not gonna have a sticker shock in December when you guys pass your budget? I don't know, is this the time to do monkey with the garbage service? So I'll quit. I wish I had time to rebut some of the things that might come up. But anyways, thank you for your time. And so to me, as a taxpayer, I'd like to leave it like it is.
Thank you. And for the record, you really didn't go over 3 minutes.
Oh, I got more time?
Well, but you did, you wanna, And I would just say, there wasn't really any questions, that's been raised at this point during public comments, but in the event there are some questions, and I know our city attorney is here, he'll remind me if I wasn't already aware of this, that as much as we'd like to reply to some of those questions during public comments, legally we can't. So hopefully, if there are any questions, and I'm sure there will, at some point, council members are kind of taking notes, and then when they get into their deliberations, maybe they can address some of those questions at a time. So I should have said that at the very beginning, but I was reminded of that. And again, it really have just been comments, which up to this point, I really appreciate. I'm sure all of us can, and I'm sure there's more that wanna continue to make comments on this issue. So if there are, please just come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, I'm Grace Purdy. I'm at 1014 Racine Street and have been living here for a very long time. I'm disappointed that the city is considering taking on the garbage service and taking away the individual choice of people. I concur with Mr. Sturdivant that this seems very rushed. And I believe that we've had very good options for service. We have a number of very good garbage companies. We have John's, we have Lakeland, we have Neuenhuis. GFL's been good for me so far. I think it's better to have people have their individual choice and to work directly with the company that's providing their service and not have to go through the city. I think adding the city as that extra layer, it makes it harder for the city to operate. And I think it's taking on unnecessary burden. And I think price-wise, there will always be better competition and better pricing for individuals if we're working directly with the company. I would not like to see you continue with this decision for citywide garbage pickup. And so I would hope that you would reconsider.
Thank you, Greg. Anyone else wish to speak at this time? Yes.
Oh.
Hi, thank you. My name is Mike Lazzaroni. I live at 133 South 7th Street in Delavan. I guess I have a fundamental issue with giving government contracts when there's no need. I mean, post office, telephone, big things like that where they have to be intertwined. I understand that. But I think you've got a lot of people here tonight. Some might be for John's, some might be for Neuenhuis, some might be for GFL. I think the way to keep everybody happy is let them have their own contract. I do believe free enterprise system always wins. It's so often I hear about government programs, they always overspend. I'd like the alderman to be, and the mayor to be fiscally responsible for the people and let them choose how to spend their money as opposed to putting it on the tax roll. You know, if the free enterprise system, if somebody contracts one of these, if it's independent and you contract one of them and you're not getting good service, you can leave like that and go to the next one. And I think that ensures that whoever the citizens choose to have their garbage pickup, that they will do a better job of service because they want to keep your business. If you go to citywide, I think you don't get the service because they've got the contract anyway and it's good for 5 years. And so maybe the first 4 years they slack, and come that 5th year, maybe they pick it up a little bit because there maybe another contract is coming up. The other thing and I'm not sure this is the case, I was informed that this is only for residents, not businesses. So there was a comment about less trucks, big weighted trucks on the roads for wear and tear on the roads. If you have businesses not involved in this and they get to choose their other trucks, you're gonna have a multitude of trucks here anyway. And then the other thing is how many trucks go right through downtown to go out to Mallard Ridge landfill, or what used to be called Mallard Ridge landfill. They're going through the town anyway. And so I think that's kind of a moot point, at least in my opinion. But again, I think free enterprise system always works. You get better service, and letting people choose would almost keep everybody happy as opposed to a citywide contract. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak at this time?
Well, City Council, my name is John Neighbors. Fortunately, I'm not a resident of Delavan, I wish I was. I live in 5981 Cotton Road, but I am a business owner. I've used New and Heights for years. It's very, very, very pleased with their service, very personable, very responsive with everything that we needed. And so in their selling of GFL, I can say that my services changed dramatically. I know that anytime a business buys another business, there's always hiccups. And I think as a business, I can understand that. But it's been a year and they have not shown that they can shore that up. I would say that if the city was in a position where they had to choose between one of these contractors and didn't do the option for the residents to use their own services, I would say that you guys should consider New and Heights greatly because I mean, I'm a small business and they've taken care of me. I think that most people of Delavan can say that they've taken care of them. And I think that Dustin and the company that he has would make sure that they have that legacy that would continue on because that's very important for him and his family. So thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else?
Dustin Unice, 133.5 South 7th Street. As you know, Unice Brothers sold, and I've taken the choice to start my own company. Albeit that it might be new, I've done it my whole entire life. I know the business inside and out. I've serviced probably most people in here, been part of the community, still live here. When my grandfather started, my father, and we get along great with Johns. I have no issues with them. Our families went to the same church. So there's no issues with them. But our reputation was built on service, communication, being local, being part of the community, taking care of people. If you call me, you can get a hold of me. I come out on a Saturday if you call me. That's how we were. That's what my grandfather was built on: hard work, staying local, taking care of the customer. And albeit I'm a little bit higher, it is because I'm new. And but you're also going to get the service with that price, and it is the same price as what New and Heights always charged. And so yeah, and obviously having to purchase all those totes and trucks, I wouldn't be able to go a little bit lower than John's or anybody else. But I'm banking on what our family was and want to continue that legacy and keep on working hard and take care of the people of this community in Delavan as we always have. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Speak at this time.
Can I go next after you?
How you doing? I'm Josh Shawners, and I'm at 317 South 2nd Street. I work for John's. I've been there 3 years. And I just want to say that when we took over Delavan, I started getting subscription stops here. I was one of the ones that advocated too. Just to let all the customers know, like what they said, we take pride in our job. I'm a driver, so I'm a residential automated driver. And I take pride in everything I do. Like I make sure our totals are closed, lids are closed, there's no trash on the ground. Because we want to leave it the way we got it, the way we went there, and I think that's what John's, what they provide. They provide an excellent service. We're a family-owned business. They've helped my family out so much in my personal time as well. But I think that they'd be a great fit for Delavan. Us coming in here and, we, like I said, if something was to break right away, they call. We have people that they can answer the phone at any time. And they'll get the work order right away. We'll come down, we'll fix it, replace your toter, fix your wheel, fix your lid. Whatever needs to get done, we take pride in what we do, and we're proud of our company. So I think they should take consideration with John. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to make public comments at this time?
Oh.
Jared Brown, 714 Madison Drive. I guess my point to this conversation isn't taking nothing away from any of the companies that put bids in for the contract work. I guess my issue would be that we are even considering contract work, because contract work is exactly that, contracted work. life is not black and white. You've got gray area and there are unforeseen costs that, you know, you're looking at bulk pickup, alternating, recycling pickup. This is a whole new thing that the companies are already facilitating to the individual customers right now. So it's like we are creating issues and unforeseen issues that could be tied up in a 5-year contract that are already being handled on an individual level in relationship right now. So then that the other thing is then at the city level, who is the contact? Who takes that burden? Because now that it's a contract work, if my garbage currently isn't picked up, I'm with the GFL subscription, I call GFL. But now if my garbage isn't picked up, I'm calling the city. And now who's answering those questions? Whether that's a relevant question to the city, and you're now then going to turn and then call whoever may be holding that contract. Now the city is taking on answering questions in regards to garbage questions that for over 50 years have not had to be answered. It was, you know, call your provider and they will take care of it for you. So that would be my consideration in the fact that when you're looking at a contract, having to read through that contract and know that there's probably been some creative accounting and displaying of that bid or proposal to try and get that work. And then it's, you know, what happens? Is it written in 2 years down the road? Do we have a potential fuel surcharge? Do we have new equipment? Do we have bin stuff written in? Is it a cut and dry contract? Is that something that the city wants to entertain? Do we need to come back in 2 years to revisit? Because now we're not happy and now we've got to buy out of a potential bad contract. Is that what we want to do? And I'm not saying that that is a for sure thing that's going to happen, but that is a potential of a contract. Bad contracts get written and agreed to. And, you know, at this point in time, it's a problem that doesn't have to be addressed because you have an individual choice of who does your service. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, I would, I'm sorry, I'll let you go, you started making your way up, I'm sorry, I'll have you go next, sir.
All right, I'm Amanda Cameron, I live at 407 East Geneva Street, we've lived there since I was a kid, we've always had new in-house, never had problems, we now have the nice green one that we don't like. What if we have to have a large pickup or something, is the city gonna handle that? Or if we have it outside, are we gonna get a note from the city because we have trash out in our driveway waiting to be picked up because we can't get a hold of anybody to pick it up? I don't want that. There's a lot of people that showed up tonight that shows me that everybody wants something different. They don't want to have a contract. They don't want to be on their taxes. Also, I have neighbors who can't afford to pay additional taxes when they don't even have garbage to dispose of as it is. What if you only have once a month pickup? Are you gonna have to pay the same as somebody who's got 3 cans out there? I don't like that idea. So please don't go with the contract, go with one of these guys or choice. Thanks.
Thank you. Sir, I think you had your hand up, so you're welcome to make your way to the podium. State your name and.
James Hammer, I live at 327 South 5th Street. And I've been a resident of Delavan for 35 years. I just would like to put my sense worth in about the keeping it competitive, keeping it open, keeping companies competitive. Seems to me, I've seen over the years that it's a larger problem in the whole country is that we've lost this competition and we've experienced things like we've seen in the last 3 years here where these things just are out of our control. And it all boils down to that there's less and less competition. And so prices are not competitive. So I'd just like to put in my say so that we leave it open, that people choose their company. And that gives companies like these, Johns and Newenhouse, an opportunity rather than these large conglomerates taking us over. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wish to make other comments at this time?
Scott Davis, 406 East Geneva Street. So I moved away from Elkhorn and I came to Delavan because it's a choice. Elkhorn has had the contract with
numerous people. Lately, more recently, they went to LRS. I know a lot of business owners. I'm the manager of Walgreens down the road. Going national, the service is not there. I've dealt with numerous business owners in Elkhorn where they don't pick up trash because the sticker is wrong on there, and that's as a driver. So using a local contact through LRS, they were able to slap a sticker on there through LRS and get a pickup consistently. At Walgreens, we had a national contract through Waste Management. They couldn't deliver. With New and Weiss, they always consistently delivered. More recently, within the past year, we have had problems with trash pickup. Using a local contact, I contacted Dustin myself to get the problem of not getting trash pickup over a year or a month picked up. Dustin delivered. His customer service is top notch. And me being the manager of Walgreens, I'm all about customer service. I'm not sure about John's. They sound real good, but Dustin delivered, and I'm pro-choice. We should be able to choose who we want, not go with somebody who the city forces on us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to make public comments at this time? Again, this is the time to speak not only to item 7.1 if you're here, but any other issues on tonight's agenda. Again, thank you all for taking the time and having the interest to be with us. It's great, again, to see so many people in attendance. So if there are no other comments at this time, we'll move on to item number 6, reports of committees, boards, and commissions. And we'll begin with item 6.1, the Finance Committee financial report. Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since the last council meeting, we met for a regular meeting on October 8th and budget meetings on September 18th and 25th, and then October 3rd. A number of items from the October 8th meeting are on tonight's agenda. The next regular meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, November 19th at 5 p.m. and another budget meeting next week on Tuesday, October 22nd. With that, I move to approve the financial report.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 6.2, general operations, Alderman Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. General operations met on Tuesday, October 1st, 2024. The building and zoning administrator indicated that he has permitted 42 new single-family homes this year. The new apartment building by Geronimi Buildings is predicted to open in January. There are a couple things that will appear on the business section of tonight's meeting. Even the presidential election on November 5th, the next general operations committee meeting will be Tuesday, November 12th at 5:30. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Wilson. Item 6.3, issues that came before the planning commission, Alderman Deason.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The planning commission met October 7th. There's a number of items on that meeting that are on tonight's agenda. The next meeting is scheduled for Monday, November 11th at 5 p.m. As always, the minutes are on file with the city clerk for public inspection if you so choose to look at that.
Thank you, Alderman Deason. Item 6.4, public works, Alderman Deason.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Public Works met on September 24th. The next scheduled meeting is for Tuesday, October 22nd at 5:30 p.m. Again, minutes are on file with city clerk for public inspection.
Thank you, Alderman Deason. Item 6.5, Town of Delavan Lake Committee, Alderman Deason.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Town of Delavan Lake Committee met October 2nd. They are winding down on their dredging project. They're looking forward to stocking the lake, and they've got some pretty good plans coming up for algae monitoring at the city level or at the town level. The next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, November 6th at 6 p.m. at the town hall.
Thank you, Alderman Deason. Item 6.6, Library Board of Trustees, Alderwoman Sen.
The Library Board of Trustees met on September 19th. Our next meeting is scheduled for this Thursday, October 17th at 5:30.
Thank you, you, Alderwoman Sen. Item 6.7, Parks and Recreation Commission, Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Parks and Recreation Commission met on Monday, September 23rd. We discussed Never Say Never developments at Eden Park. Our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, October 28th at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you, Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia. Item 6.8, Communications Commission. The committee has not met since our last council meeting, and as I understand it, no meeting date is scheduled at this time. So there's no real update there. Item 6.9 is the Delavan Downtown Project Management Team, Alderman Hazer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Downtown Project Management Team has not met since the last council meeting, and there is no meeting date scheduled at this time.
Thank you, Alderman Geezer. Item 6.10, Delbrook Golf Commission, Alderman Square.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Delaware Golf Commission at September 30th. We combined our September and October meeting. We reviewed our financial statement. The director's report was submitted for our budget. Revenue was up, we had a profit of $163,731 for 2023. Capital fund is $273,221. After the irrigation system, the Nelson fund balance would be $222,539. We moved our November meeting to the 7th because of the election, and of course, we'll be closing on the 5th.
Thank you, Alderman Square. Item 6.11, Tourism Commission, Alderwoman Sen.
Thank you, Mayor. The Tourism Commission met last evening. Our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, December 9th at 5 p.m.
Thank you, Alderwoman Sen. Item 7, General Operations Committee. 7.1 is consider citywide solid waste collection.
Mayor, if I
Well, I'm gonna call on Letty.
Okay.
So just give an overall update, like we would any other issues, kind of the process and how that's going.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. I just want to go over the RFP process so that everybody's aware of how it works. On September 10th, the city issued an RFP for a citywide collection, which included weekly recycling, weekly trash, and including in the price a bulk pickup, one bulk item per month pickup, along with our city facilities trash and recycling, and then also our downtown cans to be included all in that RFP. The proposals were due October 1st. And we received proposals from 5 companies, them being GFL, John's Disposal, New and Hoist Disposal Services LLC, LRS, and Waste Management. After going through those, we went to GOC with that on October 1st actually, and recommended that we go with John's Disposal. And that's what brings us here now. A few things, the reason we went out for contract or went out for the RFP, one of the big things was the truck traffic on the residential roads. Yes, there is commercial still on the main highways, which we'll always have, but the residential roads, there could potentially be up to 12 different trucks on one road in a week. One of the other things in the RFP that was also supposed to be included in there was cart sizes, so that residents are able to get a smaller cart if need be, and then a walk-up service. Some of the other research, local Wisconsin cities locally our size, throughout the whole state actually, all contract. We're one of the only communities our size that actually go out for let the residents choose.
I don't know if there's any other questions of staff at this time.
During the RFP process, was there an opportunity for an opt-out procedure for residents, or was that something that was not discussed, or was that brought up at GOC?
That was not discussed, no.
So none of that was on the table, and it is for a 5-year contract, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Is there an opportunity to review within that 5-year contract period?
We haven't wrote the contract yet, obviously, because we're waiting to get the approval to negotiate that, but we can write something in the contract after a 2-year or 3-year. Usually most of those contracts have, if the service isn't up to quality, there's an opt-out on the city's end or the contractor's end.
So it would be realistic to say that we could develop that with an opt-out initially,
for residents that choose to try something different while still maintaining a contract for citywide service?
You're saying for residents to opt out or for the city to opt out?
For residents. So for example, if we put together a program where we went with, through the bid process, contracted waste disposal, and there are certain residents that wanted to go a different route. They wanted to maintain what they already know, or they wanted to develop something that was brand new. And they would have the option to do that for a limited period of time. And then they would still be up for review versus the rest of the citizens in Delavan would have the ability to just go with whatever was in place. I recognize that there are a lot of people here with a lot of strong opinions and a lot of voices, but we are a population of 8,500. So even though there's a lot of people here, it doesn't necessarily represent the entire interest of the city. So that's something that we as the council have to take into consideration and look for ways to make things better across the board. Just wondering if that's something that's possible.
To opt out is pretty much, I mean, technically that's what we have currently. Because each person gets to pick their own. I
They
mean,
get to pick their own.
That's kind of what you're
Not really.
suggesting? Okay.
No.
I guess I don't.
Because if we are still going in the route of contract, the contract would still handle anybody that did not want to have to deal with that. There would be a cost savings for sure, having more people on board with a contract. I know that. But it still gives people the opportunity, if they want to pay more than what the city is currently negotiating in terms of waste disposal. If they are happier with a different service type, if the businesses want to choose something different, it gives them a pathway to make those decisions, knowing full well that there would be a potential cost increase for them.
We did not visit that, no.
Okay, but that could be developed.
We could take it to the GOC or with the contractor, whoever we decide to go with, if that could be an option.
Thank you.
Questions? Yes. The information provided by staff didn't detail the impact on the budget for the city specifically. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Nick, could you?
So with the contracted garbage collection, this would be a special fee on the taxes. So it would not necessarily affect any of the levy limit amounts for the city because it's an in and out expense. So we would collect the taxes and then that collection of the taxes will then get paid out to who the contractor is or the contract is through at that point.
I have a follow-up question. So are you saying that this is saving money in the budget overall?
So we would see about a $7,500 cost savings on the city aspect of things. And then for city residents, they would be realizing roughly about $36 if you're with a GFL. And you'd be saving about $120, $130 a year if you have John's Disposal currently. And I'm not sure on the other rates of the other companies.
Any other questions?
Can
Yes.
either of you address the question that Mr. Brown brought up, or who would you call if you had an issue with your garbage? I've never had an issue with my garbage with any company. So who would you call? Would they be calling the city? Would they be calling the garbage company?
If we were to go into contract, it would be the city. That's another reason we looked at possibly doing a contract. Currently, if a person down the road calls and says, hey, my garbage didn't get picked up, all we can do is tell them you have to call whatever company you have. If we do a contract with whoever, that would give us more control over that, and we would be able to have our contact with that company to make sure that those issues are taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
And that would also be in the contract. That would be kind of like a service standard that we would have.
This monthly charge would get added to the city tax bill?
At the end of the year, yes.
I have a follow-up question. Recently, we had a number of storms and there were a lot of trees that were brought down. And the reports were from community members that they were told to contact the city, but because they were in private areas, the city was not responsible But these also qualify for pickup service for waste disposal in the case of the situation that we just experienced.
No, all leaf pickup and brush
Not leaf
pickup,
pickup, large tree debris,
yes, all that would be on the city still. That is not in the contract.
even though it is within the residence area?
On private property?
Yes.
Yes. There was nothing in the RFP about any kind of large tree debris or. That would still fall under the brush pickup as far as public works is. And to go to your question about who they would contact, it would be somebody at the city, probably the public works department would be my assumption once we get to that point.
And if this was gonna go on the taxes, would it be the taxes bill that comes out at the end of this year or after they've had a year of service?
It would be arrears, I believe, correct?
Yes, so the first time the garbage collection tax fee would be added onto the tax bill would be at the end of next year, so it'd be the December tax bill that everybody receives. And that payment would be due in January, well, the first payment would be due in January of 2026, and the second payment would be due in July of 2026.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So right now, I know that we have a number of services that the city is providing. If this is going on the tax bill, and that would be a once a year payment. What provisions do we have in place should that bill not be paid in terms of waste removal? How would that work? Would the waste removal continue and then the city would be responsible for recouping the cash for the tax base?
You're saying
the resident?
if the resident
The
didn't pay
owner
the
or the
tax?
business owner, correct.
Okay.
Because I am not interested in having a situation where bad actor, bad business owner is just leaving material out, blowing in the wind for residents or anybody else like that. So I want to know how that plays out.
So just to clarify your question, you're asking if they were to leave something that, or not pick up something, correct?
No, if they simply do not pay their fee.
Like the resident
Taxes to
doesn't pay?
resident, correct.
So that would be a tax foreclosure at that point, so if it was not paid, it would be as if you weren't paying your property taxes at that point. And then if you didn't pay it for 5 years, ultimately you would be foreclosed on at that point by the county.
So it becomes a county. All right,
Correct.
Yep. But waste removal would still continue?
Correct.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make it clear that this was submitted as a request for a proposal, and it's not a request for a bid. So the council is not, it's not a construction project, like if we were bidding out a road project or sidewalks or curb and gutter. So the council is not obligated to take the lowest proposal. Okay, just so everybody understands that, they think it's like a road project where you have to take the lowest proposal. That's not what you have to do on this.
Thank you. Thank you for clarity on that. Any other questions for staff? I would have one question. I think it was Ms. Cameron that was in attendance, so I can't see if she's still here or not, but had a good question in relation to large pickup. Could you talk about the RFP proposal, how that addresses it and how potentially under a contract, regardless of who might get the contract, how staff has worked to address it and maybe.
So all 5 companies that did send in a proposal, it was in the proposal that there would be 1 free bulk pickup per month per resident. I believe all 5 in their proposal did say that the resident would have to contact the company to set that up. So that would be on the resident to call them, set it up. It is included in the monthly bill. As I believe Nate from Johns had disclosed, they did offer in theirs a premium bulk pickup, which would include Freon, like refrigerators, freezers, that kind of air conditioners, up to 8 tires, I believe it was a year, and engine oil and electronics for that extra $1 a month, so.
And again, just kind of the second, maybe you could speak how that would be different. Currently,
I believe there's a charge. I don't know how much. I've heard anywhere from $30 to $60 per item. and it still works that way, I believe, where the resident has to call the company, whoever they're dealing with, whoever they're contracted with currently. They have to call them and get it set up, and then they'll come pick it up.
Is it fair to say that, currently staff may have to go on after some or
Yeah,
find
so-
people, and that maybe potentially through a contract, again, regardless of who's providing out of these 5 bidders, that may be less, or hopefully less work on staff's part to track down couches that aren't getting picked up and things.
Yes, for sure. I believe it will definitely clean up the city lot. Our staff, the city staff has sent out over 300 unsightly debris letters to residents. Usually that's after it sits for a week even, whether it's a couch or a chair or anything that could be considered a bulk item is included in that. So I think a lot of that would kind of disperse after, if we were to sign that contract with anyone.
Yes, no, I'd rather have you guys ask the questions. I think you're the ones that are gonna make.
Do we, as to Mrs. Cameron's point too, do we know, are there a large amount of citizens that don't have any garbage pickup right now? And.
I'm unaware of the number on that.
Okay, Nick, you don't know that either.
Questions. I might have one more for you. I know the issue of, and I think you've clarified it well, that that if it was under a contract, that staff and residents could contact the city. Currently, obviously, we have choice and people can go with whoever they want. Can you still, maybe staff could address how many phone calls we've taken on some of the things that we've seen as of late? I don't know if you've got a number on that, but anything from residents maybe contacting us to not, because they don't like the looks of the current containers that they have, or that the containers are too big. What can you do about getting me a smaller one so that I can actually, I'm elderly or what have you, I have disability, it's hard to get the containers down to the street. Can you speak? I'm aware of people that have approached me thinking that under the current system, we have some control over that or can weigh in on that when clearly we don't, which is fine, but maybe staff can speak to how much, if anything.
I don't have
maybe
enough time here to, I guess, answer that.
I know, that's
I'm
another
pretty
question.
new to this whole system.
Tim, for
but-
those that don't know, is doing a great job, he just came on board.
But from what I've heard, obviously the calls have gone down now that the service has been in for a year or whatever, but I don't know if you can give a number, Mark or Nick, approximately.
I don't have a number.
Yeah, but I know there were quite a few at the beginning, and it was from stories from other staff that it was kind of hard to tell them, hey, no, sorry, you have to call this number, and and then they call back, well, I can't get a hold of anybody, So I feel a contract with anybody will alleviate some of that, just because the city will have more control over that, and it'll be in a contract that you must resolve these issues within 24, 48 hours. Otherwise, it's basically a mark on your part. So
Last thing at this point that I have, not everybody has the detailed information that we have, but I believe you made comments and I don't know if anyone was able to pick up a packet, which would be similar to what all of the council members, but you had it really outlined very well on what the bids, who bid on it and what it entails. And I think, just so there's no confusion, when we talk about how the fee will be, in this case, more than likely put on the tax bill, I think it's important to be clear so there's no misinformation that regardless, if the council were to choose a contract service, that although the fee, and as you pointed out, is a pass-through fee, some of our other fees are pass-through, welcome that, and collect the money initially for whatever they're passing along, that it is a reduction. I think it's important to make clear so there's no misinformation that regardless if the council wills this way, based on the bids, it is a reduction. You may see additional dollars on your tax bill if that's how you work it out, but it is a reduction at the end of the day. So it's not an increase. So I think we heard some of those comments and certainly appreciate the concerns like, oh, my taxes may go up because of assessment or because of different programs and services that we're budgeting to provide. this is clearly, regardless of who gets the bid, a reduction in the savings.
Yes, yep, so yes, obviously, for people that have GFL that switched over from New and Heist, you know, they might not be paying as much as somebody that is going with John's or somebody that's signing up with GFL now, but it will save them some money, whether it's $36 or, you know, could be up to $120, you know, it could be a pretty good savings for some people. And plus you get that extra, that bulk pickup, which currently they have to pay for, whether that's $30, $60 or whatever, you know, if you have bulk pickups, that's a big deal.
Any other questions? Anyone care to make?
I'd care to make a motion. I move to reject all proposals and maintain service contracted by individual property owners.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Sorry, second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second, any further discussion?
I have some discussion.
Yes.
I believe that we should adopt that motion for a few points. So historically, I think the city of Delavan residents have successfully handled their garbage hauling relationships independently, and successfully they have done so with multiple different garbage companies. I do see that there are potential savings to homeowners by consolidating services to a single provider. It's evident based on what we've seen tonight in the emails that a lot of residents want choice in their provider. I understand that we don't have to take the lowest bid, as Steve pointed out earlier, but the proposed unified service is with a provider that wasn't even the lowest bid that was submitted through the RFP process. A decision to go to a single provider would add this as an additional item to the city tax bill, which is opposed by citizens that did contact me directly. The information provided by staff, again, as I pointed out, didn't detail the impact on the city budget before we came to the meeting either, which I would have liked to see before coming in as well.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Everybody's been doing such a great job, thank you. Yes.
So I'm reminded about what it was like when I moved here. And when I moved here, I moved from a number of different areas, and it was very odd for me to come here and find that there's not a city provided trash service. It was just different. We adapted, we made a decision, we went with New and Ice at that particular moment in time, and it just became an extra bill that we were paying, which we were not used to paying. It was convenient having it all bundled in and just taken care of at the end of the year. That was nice as a renter when I moved to different facilities or different areas because the landlord took care of it. It was all part of the package or everything else like that. So in this particular case, I moved here and the system worked and I adapted. But I also think about what does that look like for the future? I know that the city has been building and they have been working on adapting for the eventuality that we'll become another class of city, hitting that 10,000 population mark. That's coming a lot sooner than a lot of people anticipated. Public Works has been diligently replacing infrastructure within the city to make sure that we do not have this massive punch in the face when that eventuality takes place. And it's an eventuality, not something that we can stop. People move here because they like it here. They're coming here because they want to be here. So thinking about trash disposal is a long-term thing, and it's not necessarily bad to look at the way things have been done and adapt them over time. Having some flexibility while still maintaining a current pathway to the eventuality that we're going to become very, very big. And I don't know if the city is going to want, the residents are going to want to have competing waste disposal issues, if the city is gonna wanna take on the extra responsibility at a later date. So those are questions that I have when I'm looking at this decision. I think that it's appropriate to have something in place that gives citizens the ability to opt out. I think that that's healthy, but it also gives the city the ability to continue to adapt and grow. Tradition isn't necessarily a bad thing, unless it gets in the way of today's needs. And when you have today's needs, it may not necessarily be the same thing that some other municipalities or some other cities need. We can do this, and we can do this healthy. and we can continue to do what we're doing. But as I've seen, just transitioning over to what was a great garbage system, which would now potentially be a brand new system for waste disposal for me, because again, I used New and Ice and I was very happy with the service that they provided. I'm already seeing cost increases for GFL. I'm already seeing cost increases going up across the board. People say that competition is healthy. It is healthy until the needs are not met and the prices still go up. And then it becomes not healthy and everyone gets penalized as a result of that. So just please consider that when you're thinking about this. It's not a bad thing to pause this. It's not a bad thing to send this back to committee to talk about this more. I'm really, really happy that there's a turnout for this. I wish there would have been this turnout during GOC for the initial one, because if we wouldn't be in the situation right now where we have to make a decision, I'm more likely to send this back to GOC and invite you all to come and just be part of that process, because that is a healthy way of moving forward as a community, and we are all part of the same community, and we should be thinking forward, not necessarily staying the same just because it is convenient or the way that we want it. I've seen a number of letters that came forward, and I can count the numbers that are here in attendance. I'm also reminded that we have a population roughly of about 8,630. So of the letters that I received and of the people that are here, that's roughly 7%. If I extrapolate an extra 10 people for everybody that spoke. And if I'm doing that, is it realistic or fair for the entire community of the city of Delavan to let 7% determine the direction or the growth? Those are the things that I think about when I'm looking at issues like this.
I make the motion to send this back to.
We've already got a motion on the floor. So any other discussion on this motion?
I would just like to say one thing. So regarding what you said about sending this back to committee, I'm not really sure how much we're gonna get out of that. I think we have a lot of people here tonight that want to see a decision be made. They're here now showing their concerns, they voiced them to us, and I think I would like to see us make a decision tonight based on what we've already seen presented to us.
What else?
I have a question, Tim. Hey, Tim, when you brought this before GOC, was Newhouse, were they a part of the process at that time?
When I brought, yes, they had submitted a bid, the same time as everybody else. I think it was on the first. So yeah, that was in the packet, in the original packet.
Okay, I must have overlooked it. I've been struggling with this for the past 2 or 3 days, this, garbage thing, and, unfortunately, I mean, I look at it like this. Obviously, people don't want it to be contracted. Nothing against John's. I've heard nothing but great things about you guys. But I feel if a person should have the right to choose their service, we should not have to choose it for them. And I've been struggling with this for the past 2 or 3 days. I hope that we can come to some kind of agreement, some kind of conclusion to this thing. Even if we do have to send it back to GOC, I'm for that too.
I'd like to say one more thing too,
Sure.
the opt-out thing that you brought up, Matt, I have concerns about that. I think that is exactly what, as was voiced earlier, it sounds a lot like the choice, right? So I mean, if you give the citizens an option to opt out, why are we even doing this in the first place? There's citizens that do, as Mel pointed out earlier, get their garbage picked up every other week, once a month. There's people that pause their garbage completely for months that are gonna now have to pay monthly in the city. And I just don't think that that necessarily is the answer.
Sure. When I'm talking about opting out, I'm also talking about the individual's ability to say, I don't want to have to deal with that. I want the city to handle that for me. I'm moving to the community, and I've got a lot of other things going on, and trash is the least of my concern as long as it disappears at the end of the day. And in that regard, I'm relying on the city to take care of something quietly, quickly, and never have to deal with it. Because that is the ability for a citizen to say, I am choosing to have the city handle it. And by the city handling it, the city has a contracted service in place. Contracted service is not something that the city is necessarily going to be directly responsible for, but there will be oversight, and they will be able to check it, and they will be able to determine, is it meeting the needs of the citizens in place? So that gives everyone the ability to select the trash that they want removed. They can choose the way that they want to have that handled. People want their garbage gone, that's clear, nobody wants that to build up. How that happens is what I'm suggesting. If the opt-out is in place, that means that the city still has an opportunity through the bid process to investigate. Is this trash service still meeting the needs of the citizens? Are there better opportunities? It also gives other companies the ability to grow and create that environment of competition. Well, if you're not meeting it, you better pay attention, because there's a couple of people that really know what they're doing around town. And they're gonna put you to the test, give it a chance. And that's the sort of thing that I think is healthy for a community. You're not gonna run into a situation where the city selects the wrong one. You're gonna give the community and the city the ability to look at all of the options over time. It's not gonna be an immediate decision, it's not gonna be an immediate fix, but it will be something that will be healthy and it will move the city forward. That's kind of the direction and the reason why I would suggest that.
Well, I mean, I've had several phone calls, several emails, and none of them were in favor of a contract. I just want to put it out there.
I would have to agree with what I've received in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I had a call right before the meeting tonight, concerned citizen. They don't want it. I had emails, they don't want it, you know, I get it on the street, you know. Why are you guys choosing for us? Why can't we choose for ourselves? We're all adults, you know, I've heard it all. So, I mean, I'm just at the point to where I say let the citizens choose what they want. What if the citizens want to choose to have the city take that on? And I guess we have to vote.
Any other discussion? Everyone clear on the motion? And it's been a little while since the motion and the second, maybe we could have the clerk read and recite the motion that is before the council.
Motion is to reject all proposals and maintain service contracting by individual property owners.
Everyone clear on the motion? There was a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Well, I think maybe we'll go to a roll call then. I think it's 3-3, but I think a roll call is,
I think it's
it kind of almost.
Alderman Square,
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia,
Yes.
Alderwoman Sem.
No.
Alderman Wilson,
No.
Alderman Beazer,
No.
Alderwoman Barbosa.
Yes.
And with that, we have a 3-3. And
Well, Mr. Mayor, it's your first one. Congratulations.
Now you've been up here.
I know.
For a time. Wow, it was bound to happen at some point, right? Well, you should just speak from the chair. I will, first of all, I too want to reiterate once again, the outpouring of people coming out just to hear and observe. And I've often said, I think others that we serve, wish we saw this type of attendance on a more regular basis, because we make a lot of important decisions that impact you every single day. And I'm not saying garbage disposal and pickup isn't that important or the most important thing, but you know, it's not always easy being up here making these types of decisions. I've also heard, first and foremost, I want to say that I attended GOC, and I think the comment was, I often, whether I serve on a committee or not, enjoy and appreciate sitting in on those meetings, to get a better understanding of what's gonna come before the city council. Again, I don't normally have to vote. I'm gonna hear in a minute. And I would say that, one thing that struck me, because I didn't see any of the bid process, any of this packet of information until right before, the general operations, committee. And it came as quite a surprise to see a new and nice bid on it, frankly. I think it came as a surprise to our staff, to all those serving on the council, and maybe it came as a surprise to others as part of this full body. Because I think, and I'm sure there's a lot of thoughts and I don't know, information out there sometimes. While I can appreciate what's on Facebook, it's not always accurate. And I would say that there was a common theme that I heard tonight by the company or their lack thereof service. Again, I think they're trying to do the best that they can. It's a different type of company than the wonderful New and Nice company and the service that we've all been accustomed to before. And so I think one of the things that part of this process was to try and address, and some may say, why is government getting involved? And I think it's a fair question. I think other communities, has been pointed out, do citywide services. Feel that I personally took the calls on what's with these containers? They're god awful looking. I personally saw the lack of pickup all summer long in our downtown. And so nobody knew about New and Ice wanting to come back, and I respect it. I think it's great. You got a strong legacy. I give you a lot of credit. It's not easy. I think while some of our officials here on this committee aren't used to crowds like this, Mel and I can attest that we've sat through them. And again, I think it's great. It's not always easy to make some tough decisions, and somebody's gonna be upset. I also heard that while I appreciate everybody coming out, and this is one of the healthiest, I think everybody can agree, deliberations and debates, asking of questions. We get in here and so much of this has been discussed at committee. I think the comment was made that we would have loved to have seen more of this dialogue and discussion, and probably would have frankly had the committee, I'm sure would have had more questions for New and Heights or some of the other bidders at the GOC level. And that didn't happen because, much to my surprise, nobody was at GOC, not citizens, not any of the contractors themselves. So I also heard tonight a rush. And while I also heard that we appreciate, and we do, everyone said it, that you came out tonight, and that maybe there's some decision that should be made tonight, I heard from a couple of people that they felt like it was rushed. I think, to be honest, again, to make it clear, it was trying to come up with a process to address many things that, again, we would maybe agree with the current majority of the garbage pickup. And it wasn't, trying to pick a winner or pick a loser. So with that, and with the idea that maybe there's a rush and maybe there could be more deliberation on this, I'm gonna vote no against this. And I think the appropriate motion would be after this, assuming there is one, to send it back to GOC, so we can have more discussion about this. So perhaps the committee can get some more discussion on exactly where New and Heights, maybe New and Heights is the way to go, because But I think the committee would like to know, where are you at right now? Where, could you handle this service? And again, I'm not asking you to answer that right now. But I think we have often, I've seen some aldermen say, well, you know, the recommendation out of the committee was to do this, so therefore we should go with that recommendation. And now tonight, there's actually 3 that aren't willing to go with the recommendation, which I find a little surprising, because I've always felt that more times than not, the council takes the recommendation of the committee, but I always have said, you don't have to necessarily take that recommendation. And I think it's important to do it right, whatever the outcome will be. Yes, we're gonna probably have all of you, I hope, at next month's meeting, if that's the direction that it's taken, to send it back to committee, have some more dialogue, figure it out. There's nothing wrong with having more deliberation, more details, and making an even more informed decision. And to your point, Your Honor, you thought it was rushed. If we make a decision even to not, you know, just to keep the status quo, is that rush? And again, I'm not asking you to answer that question, but you were the second one to speak, and I was like, you know what? Fair enough. If people think it's rush, there needs to be a little more discussion. There's nothing wrong with that. So I vote no on the motion to just keep the status quo, and I will entertain another motion.
I'll make a motion to send this back to the GOC for the November 12th meeting for more dialogue. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I think it'd be real healthy to think about the bid processes that are already in place. As I understand it, the bid process has already been done, so there might not be a reason to revisit that. But the contracts themselves are something that should be discussed, and how this would look for the citizens, so that it's clear and cut out. I think it might be very helpful if people did have an opportunity to opt out. That may, in fact, adjust the pricing for the companies that are putting forth bids, if that's the direction they're going, because there is an unknown. I know that companies will typically bid based on population and what they know for their expenses and what they're gonna have. And that may very well change what's in place, just some considerations for that.
We have discussion on the motion.
I can say that my family's had new house for 65 years now, and you were great. And at the time we were looking at all this, there was no new house choice. These people from Johns, they're good people as well. And we can get something together that works for everybody. I'd like to see us at least talk about it at GOC and bring it back in November or December.
And I think to Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia's point, yeah, we might be here next month at the same time, same place, and the outcome might still be the same, to just ultimately go with no service and keep it as is. I don't know what that will bring, but it never hurts to discuss it a little more, I think, so. We have a motion and a second. I don't know if there's any other discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
5-1, motion passes. Thank you again for being here. We've still got a number of items on the agenda. You're more than welcome to stay, or something you want to leave at this point.
November 12th.
Hope to see you back. We'll give a minute for those that want to speak at this point. Oh, let's take a recess, I think. Maybe, yeah, in case somebody wants to use the rest. 24. I'm getting ahead of myself. Item 7.2 is consider temporary beer license and temporary wine license for the American Legion for the Downtown Beer Walk on October 19th, 2024, and Wine Walk on November 23, 2024.
I move to approve the American Legion's application for a Class B temporary beer license to sell beer at listed locations throughout the downtown for the beer walk on October 19th, 2024. And I move to approve the Class B temporary wine license to sell wine at listed locations throughout the downtown for the wine walk on November 23rd, 2024.
There's a motion and a second. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 8, Planning Commission, 8.1. Consider a conditional use petition to allow for construction of a 3-unit multifamily residential building defined as a townhouse land use at 111 North Terrace Street in the residential mix 8 RM-8 zoning district, applicant Blue Oak Holdings LLC.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed resolution granting a conditional use, including the conditional use findings as listed under the recommended conditional use findings section of the report, and the conditional use request for a new development and construction of a 3-unit multiplex at 111 North Terrace Street within the residential mixed RM zoning district, subject to the conditions of approval as listed under the recommended full conditions of approval in the report. Applicant Blue Oak Holdings LLC.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 8.2 is considered the planned infill development, step 4, precise implementation plan, PIP, at 2400 East Geneva Street, tax parcel XA 4985-1, located in the manufacturing light ML zoning district with a shoreland overlay. To allow for construction of a parking lot and amenities for the boat launch applicant Delavan Lake Lawn LLC.
Sorry, Mr.
Oh, you're fine.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance allowing for the precise implementation plan for the property at 2400 East Geneva Street to allow for a boat launch parking lot, including the findings as listed under the required findings by Plan Commission's section of the report, and any additional conditions of approval recommended by staff, the Plan Commission, or Common Council.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just one thing, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I was very pleased to hear that Lake Lawn is going to continue to allow access for residents to utilize the boat launch. It will not become a private boat launch.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 8.3 is consider a planned infill development amendment to the official zoning map for step 3 general development plan GDP at 207 through 433 South Wright Street, tax parcel XA 4527-2, located in the business regional VR zoning district with a wellhead protection overlay to allow for future development of commercial out parcels and an expanded indoor storage land use, applicant Star Delavan LLC.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to approve the proposed ordinance allowing a general development plan for the property at 207 through 433 South Wright Street to allow for future development of commercial out parcels and an expanded indoor storage land use, including the findings as listed under the required findings by the Plan Commission section of the report, and any additional conditions of approval recommended by the Common Council.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
This was a long process, and I'm very happy to say that everyone has come to a reasonable decision. And I'm glad that we took the time to make sure that it was done the right way. So I'd like to commend everybody for being part of that process and being patient while we work through it.
Thank you for that. And for the record, how many times did we send it back to Planning Commission to get it right? No, you don't have to answer that. Anyway, we sent it back to committee. That was my point. Any other discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I wanted to vote again, but. No. All right, thank you. Item 8.4 is consider a planned infill development amendment to the official zoning map for step 3 general development plan GDP at 404 Walworth Avenue, tax parcels XP4, XP7, and XP9 located in the institutional and residential mix 8, 1 and RM-8 zoning districts to allow for an indoor institutional land use applicant FEH design for the city of Delavan.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to approve the ordinance allowing a general development plan for property at 404 East Walworth Avenue to allow for expansion of an indoor institutional land use, including the findings as listed in the report under the required findings of the Plan Commission and any additional conditions of approval recommended by the Common Council.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. Item 8.5 is consider approval of a city informational sign for 404 East Walworth Avenue, Delavan Public Library in the downtown design overlay zoning district.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the city information sign for the property at 404 East Walworth Avenue in the downtown design overlay zoning district, including the findings as listed under the recommended findings section of the report and any additional conditions of approval recommended by staff or the plan commission.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. Item 8.6 is consider a single lot land redivision request by certified survey map CSM to combine the 3 tax parcels of 702 Madison Drive.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the certified survey map to combine the 3 tax parcels of 702 Madison Drive dated October 2nd, 2024.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. Item number 9, which is for the Finance Committee, 9.1 is consider an application for a facade grant for Jewelers Incorporated.
Move to approve a facade improvement grant in the amount not to exceed $2,918.92 for Scott and Gretchen Wolfer LLC to cover improvements to the facade of 321 East Walworth Avenue, provided that the plans comply with all city ordinances and design standards.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Sem.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa.
Yes.
Alderman Square.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 9.2 is considered the fire department purchase of status SCBA's. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the purchase of SCBA's in the amount of $345,941, including estimated shipping to Jefferson Fire and Safety, Shane Conant, representative.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderwoman Sem.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa.
Yes.
Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 9.3 is consider quote for security fence around PD parking lot.
Move to approve the security fence installation around the police department parking lot located at 123 South Second Street for the quoted price of $26,000.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, any further discussion?
That's pretty bare around there.
Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa.
Yes.
Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Sem.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 9.4 is reconsider raising bids received for the condemned 3-car garage located at 204 South 4th Street.
Move to award the contract to Badger Contracting Incorporated out of Southern Wisconsin, out of Elkhorn, Wisconsin, for the raising of the 3-car detached garage at 204 South 4th Street at a cost of $2,000, and to utilize the escrowed funding for these raising costs.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa.
Yes.
Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Sem.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 9.5 is consider change order number 1 in the amount of $20,700 to our contract with Next Electric for the West Side Booster Station renovation.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve change order number 1 to our contract with Next Electric in the amount of $20,700 for plumbing alterations associated with the West Side Booster Station renovation.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderwoman Barbosa.
Yes.
Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Sem.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 9.6 is consider change order number 5 to the North Terrace Street Bridge / Lake Comus Dam reconstruction contract with Linda Construction Company at a total additional cost of $54,611.
I move to approve change order number 5 in an amount not to exceed $54,611 for the North Terrace Street Bridge Lake Comus Dam reconstruction contract with Lunda Construction Company.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderman Square.
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia.
Yes.
Alderwoman Sem.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Barbosa.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 9.7 are approval of the bills.
Move to approve warrant 2024-09.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 10, other business. 10.1 is consider the mayor's appointment of a citizen representative to the Parks and Recreation Commission to fill a vacant term for a partial term expiring in April of 2026.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the mayor's appointment of Joe Johnson to the Park and Rec Commission.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 11, public comments. Citizens, again, at this point of the meeting, may address the chair. I would ask this, that you speak once for only 2 minutes this time. Now, Mel, you can come up here, but it's only 2 minutes instead of 3.
Well, wait a minute, we had council meetings
I might give
till
you 3.
11 o'clock, 12 o'clock.
I know.
So this is
council
amazing.
doesn't, I know, this is early, right?
This is not right.
This is early for us.
Officer Schrader, get the taser.
Crowd control here.
Verbal judo, learn at college. I would stop watching my phone.
I used to have a little timer too.
Yeah,
Because it got out of
Still
hand.
here, it's still here. The
Oh,
mayor,
there it is, eh?
I haven't even had to use it. I thought I might tonight, but
Well,
you all did a wonderful job.
I was probably too lenient to let people ramble on too long for public comments and so on. But at least they never say never had a chance to speak their mind. But anyways, I'll speak my mind real briefly here. First of all, thank you for, dealing with this, and I'm sure a little surprised a bunch of people came. I had nothing to do with that. Dustin posted it. And if you read any of the feed on that, it's a testament to the family business that my dad and my uncle started 60 years ago, which makes me a little choked up because we took pride in what we did. And I think it shows, and the people that are willing to show up shows what, John and Marge lived next door to me. Well, unfortunately, John had passed away, but we've always got along. We always had our sort of territory, yada, yada, yada. Never tried to, so we have a great relationship. So I will try to be there on November 12th because there were things pointed out that I wanted to counter because you wouldn't let me be able to speak during that agenda item. But I will speak at that time to hopefully clarify some things and help you make the most important decision that you can make. And I respect
the votes that you had. I'm not mad at those who voted opposite way I was hoping for, but I think that's what's good about tonight is that you had good discussion and you took heart to what this is all about. And so, you know, being that people now know this is out there with my nephew starting up Noon Heights again, you might have more people come. And I'm gonna encourage people, when I talk to them, go to the GOC meeting. If you really want your voice to be heard, so that it helps him move forward. So anyways, thank you for your time, and I wish I could drag you on for 2 more hours so you can suffer like I did and Ryan did.
I was right there with you. Thank you.
And Steve. Anyways, thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Item number 12 is suggested future agenda items. Are there any future agenda items at this time? If not, as I always highlight, you're welcome to let myself know, the city administrator, the city clerk, and I'm happy to put it on the agenda for future discussion. With that, there being no additional business this evening, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second motion and a second. All in favor of adjournment, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we're adjourned. Thanks again, everybody.